and welcome to your accent for Monday, November 13th. I'm Ryan Dugan, here with Rochelle Uzzi. Let's get it started.
10-second trivia. Veterans Day originated with an observance that marked the end of what war? U.S. Civil War, World War I, World War II, or Vietnam War? The holiday observed on November 11th recalls Armistice Day, which marked the end of World War I. That armistice went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918. The first Armistice Day observance was held a year later. In 1938, it became a national holiday in the U.S. But even though World War I was known as the war to end all wars, that wasn't how things turned out. So in 1954, after World War II had ended and fighting had stopped in the Korean War, the holiday known as Armistice Day was renamed Veterans Day. It's now a time to honor anyone who served in the U.S. Armed Forces. This year, 99 years after the World War I armistice, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs has broadened the event to show appreciation for military families as well as servicemen and women themselves. Ceremonies and events will take place across the U.S. on Saturday. A ceremonial wreath laying at the Tomb of the Unknowns at Arlington National Cemetery will be held at 11 o'clock a.m. Australia, Britain, Canada, and France, some other countries whose troops fought in World War I, also hold veterans events at this time of year.
When I was laying there, I really, didn't think that I was going to make it. The Marines that were around me, I'm sure that they didn't think I was going to make it either. So, it really shows me that I'm here for a reason. What really made things clear for me was, looking back at my life up to this point. I always did everything for myself, and I never really took a step back and said, you know what, I just need to start doing things for other people. And I knew that I could do that in the Marines.
My dad was furious. My dad didn't talk to me for like a solid month. He really hated it when I said I was going to leave to go in the military. I'm from Chicago originally. I'm from the South Side. He thought that, the scholarship and education, that stuff that I had would, get me out of the hood, which it did, but I wanted to get farther out than that. I had higher aspirations than that. I wanted to get out of the country. And the Air Force was supposed to be the most intelligent branch of the service. I went all over. I went to Scotland, I went to Wales, every time I had a chance to get off, I went somewhere. I traveled somewhere.
At 21, I was just finishing my nurse's training when World War II broke out. In fact, we were on the chow line when over the loudspeaker it was announced that the war had started. Being in the service made me grow up. I was a young girl, just lived home, and all of a sudden you're thrown out with all kinds of people and places that you read about but never saw. It was quite an experience. It's something I'm very happy I did, but I would never want to do it again.
My uncle was killed by a terrorist organization, and I knew at that point that I wanted to fight against those type of individuals. And so I graduated from Ranger School in October 23rd of 2009, and just about 6 weeks later I was in Afghanistan.
Growing up on South Shore of Long Island, you hear about West Point, which is where I was fortunate enough to go to college. I was a junior when 9/11 happened. I distinctly remember being in class. No one was teaching. We were just sitting there watching. Everyone was in shock. Most of the professors there are active duty military. Each one had made a comment to the effect of, cadets, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what this means, but your nation's going to call on you to go serve. I never thought I'd stay in for 10 years, but I enjoyed it very much so, and it was the best job I've ever had in my life and likely will ever have, so I look back on it with just the fondest memories.
To all staff and students, the junior class will be having a fundraising night at Buffalo Wild Wings this Wednesday, November 15th. They will have a basket raffle as well. Please come out and support them as they try to raise money for prom of 2019.
The Success Club will have a meeting today after school in room C101. All members should plan on attending. New members are welcome anytime.
There will be a mandatory meeting for all athletes looking forward to competing in the indoor track this winter. The indoor track meeting is today, right after school in room C101. If you are unable to attend, be sure to see Coach Scott.
Today's lunch is a chicken wrap, sweet potato puffs, veggie beans, and fruit.
Happy birthday to Courtney Purdue and Michaela Rohr. Well, that's all for today's accent. I'm Rochelle, here with Ryan. We'll see you on Wednesday.